All right. I'm with Rachel Feinstein. Everybody, welcome to Walk-Ins. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I really feel I'm so excited about your special. I feel like I was like, is she married to my brother because he's a fireman? And my sister-in-law says so much of the same stuff that you were joking about. For everyone who is tuning in, please go watch Rachel's special. It is hilarious, and you're just so completely relatable. I guess I didn't know that you had a child either.
Yeah, that she's almost 4 now. Yeah,
Oh,
we have a
wow.
little Frankie. She was actually supposed to be with me this week, but and my husband's supposed to be out here with me, but he like messed his shoulder up in a fire, which he loved. He was like, it was awesome. Got to knock down all these walls. It's great. I'm on medical leave though. I don't know if your brother does this too, but they have to tap out because their gear is. But sometimes it's just like minor things that they need to go get physical therapy for, and then they come back. But that means they have to go into the medical offices and get stuff done. But so I'm like up all night, like losing my mind. And he's like, oh, I got to knock down all these walls. It was a good flame. Good job. In the box.
My brother fell off a roof, but his own roof. He was just doing things like the day before his wife was due with their third kid. I was like, this is the most fireman shit ever, that you're just on a roof.
That I didn't know. See, this is the stuff I learned because my husband is also on our roof. Like he's trying to, everybody that's fixing everything in my house, which he bought with Bitcoin, is a fireman. I'm like, why, Pete? You're not a roofer. You've got 2 firemen with you. I'm like, Vinny's not a roofer. You're not a roofer. Like none of this is good. Same exact scenario. Like they're trying to build some kind of like balcony on the top level of my house. It's always like something. They can't be still because they're all just like vaguely traumatized. And I'm always like, wait, is that Pete like on top of our house right now? Like what the hell? Just be still.
It's crazy, like the stuff they see and they don't. That's what I found so insightful about your special, was just talking about how he's like, no, I'm fine. Like everything's cool. And then my brother will talk about just like some of the stuff he runs into. And I forget, like, so my brother has a hilarious, I don't know if I should say it out loud, but I think he's probably onto something where he's like, all the men are depressed and suicidal because they let women into these like traditionally male spaces. And I was thinking about this when I was watching your special, because he's like, we don't want to talk about our fucking feelings after we pulled somebody out of a car. We just want to like talk shit. It's how we process. But now because of these like weird quotas, they have to have a number of like women. And he says that they get all like feely, and it makes all the guys like even more depressed. I'm like, let me hear more about this theory of yours. They have a lot of theories.
It's the women that make the right, because they hold a mirror up to their own. That's fascinating. That's hilarious. But yeah, they I hope they start to like make therapy like more or some sort of checkup. But yeah, no, my husband will just he'll be like, everything's fine, everything's good, everything's solid. I'm like, because there's a massive dent in the microwave. I just want to make sure. Yeah, that's how it is. That is how it is. And and I come from like, oversharers. So it's like complete opposite in every way. All my husband wants to talk about is if like somebody got he'd be like, oh, the Finnegan's got a Mazda. So that's good. I went to he'll be like, yeah, I saw 3 ODs this week, but the Finnegan's got a Mazda. Good choice. He just wants to talk about purchases, like what neighbors purchase. I could never be less interested. I didn't know what kind of car we had. I kept saying the wrong car. And I was like, I don't know. I'm like car dumb. I can't find them in parking lots. I don't care. That's what he wants to talk about. Like lawnmowers, purchases, and hurl his body into danger.
They also, I feel like, have to compartmentalize in order to do that job. Like you can't.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Yeah.
There's this whole theory of, it's a word I just learned that makes me sound way smarter than I am, but it's iatrogenesis, and it's essentially like it can happen in any kind of medical. It's basically like any kind of treatment can have a side effect that makes something worse. This can be with physical things, but the reason I learned it was in the context of therapy can also have this effect too. If you like think too much about yourself and your problems, it can actually exacerbate the problems and make them worse.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think there's got to be some balance here, but I don't know. My brother went to a therapist and he was like, I don't know. He was a little too like sis, he didn't say sissy,
Yeah,
but it was
I know what you
like,
mean. That's what something he would just be like, yeah, it's kind of it's a lot. Everything's good, solid, solid. That's what I'll say.
I
Yeah.
think I shared so much. Like I related to your stand up special so much. I have a toddler. She's 2.
Oh wow, girl or boy? You said
Girl.
girl.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And that's a really funny question, though. In 2024, it's kind of a fair question to ask, I guess, after I'm like, she, and you're like,
Oh, I
girl
didn't
or
hear you say
boy.
she. That was me. That was all me. That was like just me being oblivious and mangled with ADD. But I got
No,
excited.
I
When you had a
know.
girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a girl. She is very precocious, as I think they all are these days. I feel
Yeah.
like she's like becoming a teenager already. She's already calling me by my first name. She heard my
Yes,
name once.
that's how my daughter I talk about that in special. My daughter calls me sweetie. It's the
Yeah.
same. She's very like
Sweetie.
condescending with me. And she doesn't ask me to get her things. She goes, "You can get me a bottle, right?" Like I'm like, "Don't act like don't try to give me the confidence to like meet your demands." She's like, "You can do it. Go over there. Go get that for me."
You got this.
Yeah. She's always like, "Oh no, no, sweetie, you can get it. Yeah, go ahead." It's very yeah, it's a little condescending. Yeah,
It's
she'll
such
wake
a
me up in the
young
middle of the
person's
night.
game. I just wrote a piece about this. I'm like,
Really?
my husband and I, we got married. We kind of met later, and we're both like late bloomers in that respect. And he's 4 years older than me, so I had her when I was 43. Like I got like miraculously naturally pregnant at 42, and we just are always like, this is a young person's game.
Oh
Like
yeah,
having kids is you should definitely do this in your 20s. It's
oh yeah, us
exhausting.
too. Yeah, we got into it all very late. Yeah, I was like, it was like the bottom of the ninth. I was just like zooming past red flags with my husband. I'm like, whatever, let's just lock it in. I'll deal with this later. Yeah.
My mom too, I think, is very like I don't know. Your mom sounds so similar to my mom too in so many ways. She sent me this package recently, and she was like, I had it certified, so you need to sign for it. I was like, what could you possibly be sending me that I need to be here and sign for it? I guarantee it's like some weird set. I said this to my sister. I'm like, I bet it's a set of earrings or something from some crazy artisan designer. And then I was like, Mom, what do I need to sign for that's in this package for my daughter's birthday? And she's like, oh, I sent you some earrings. They're from a Pakistani artist that I love in London. We need to support.
This is so my mom.
I'm like,
Yeah.
just send me the money.
It's like my mom, whenever
money.
she has to mention like where somebody's from, like she'll be, did I tell you that I had a marvelous, beautiful Nicaraguan couple that I was friends with at the temple, and him and his partner. She wants to let me know she knows gay people. It's very exciting for her. It's thrilling, and she's like, and I don't know. I think you're really gonna like them because they're funky and they're fun. And they live in the Greenwich Village. She's told me the story so many times. It includes nothing at all. It's all she's saying is she knows 2 gay people that are not white that live in the West Village. That's the whole story. Yeah, it's the whole. But she wants to just say it again and again. She can't believe her luck. This has happened to her. When she talks to my mother-in-law, who's Colombian, like my mom's internal monologue is probably like, "I'm talking to a Colombian woman." Like she's just so excited. It's a lot. And then all she really wants to talk about is racial suffering, and just she likes to kind of have these deep moments with people that don't want to have with Pete. He doesn't want to have that with her. So she's always, we call it pain chambering. He's always like, your mom tried to pain chamber me yesterday. He's like, I don't want to do that. Come on, keep it light. So she's always trying to like find him. And we have to like she's always just smocking around in some sort of Navajo cape looking for Pete so she can pain chamber him and get to the bottom of his like suffering.
How long have you been doing comedy?
God, over 20 years, a very, very, very long time. I started stand up. I can't remember the exact age, but I was in my maybe early 20s, and I can't remember if it was 21, 22, and maybe it was 21. Yeah. And I was a nanny and a bartender and a lot of other things, and then slowly started to do it full time. But it took me a long time. I was doing, I guess, my nanny job for a very long time. And I also didn't really want to leave that job because I was very attached to this kid. And so I would try to kind of pull it all off at once. And then I got on that show, Last Comic Standing. And that kind of was the thing that allowed me to do this fully. Yeah.
And are you born and raised in New York?
No, I grew up in Maryland and I moved to New
Oh.
York when I was 17. So in a lot of ways, I'm like more of a New Yorker than anything now because I've been there forever. Yeah.
So your
But
family.
I felt like I was moving home when I moved to New York. Like I loved it, you know?
Yeah. Is your family from there?
No, my family is actually from the Bay Area. Well, my dad
okay.
is. My dad was born in Queens and he moved to San Francisco and grew up there and then met my mom at UCSB. So all my extended family is out in California. And but they moved to the East Coast because my dad was he was a civil rights lawyer and he got into law school out there and the plan was to go back to California. But then he started practicing and yeah, that's how we ended up just kind of having an East Coast family. But they come back. My mom loves to tell waiters that. She always goes, "Oh, take your time. I lived in California in the 1960s, and no one knows what that means. It's a lot." She always does that to waiters, and they just look at her like that was exhausting to listen to.
I was waiting tables for, I think the last table I waited was in 2019 out in California, actually, for a long time. That was what I was doing. And even hearing, the thing about like being a waitress that long is it ruins going out to eat. It's so stressful for me to go out to eat. I can't relax anymore. It's just like, I know we're sitting at the table too long. I know that now I have the kid that takes out all the like sugars. I used to be me that was picking those all up. It's like PTSD.
I know we were
just
at especially that age too. They pick out, I mean, everything. Like my daughter was insane in restaurants. Like she was just hurling things everywhere, and I was just like blanking, like traumatized and blanking. And she was like throwing stuff and like knocking down plants and shit. But I think now we were just in an airport for like 6 hours, like with a delay, just sitting in this restaurant, and I just kept apologizing and adding more money to a pile because Frankie was just being like complete loon. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And just putting more money on the table. Yeah, what can you do?
Nothing.
Hopefully some of them have kids and they know it's just like, yeah. I mean, it's funny when your friends send you like articles before you have a kid or they're pregnant and they're like, this is the way I'm going to raise my kid. Like, and it's just like some pre-designed style. It's like, I'm going to do like Finnish parenting. And I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's just like every day and shit hits the fan and you like bribe them. Or my friend told me that there's like their bribe and then there's the threat of a bribe being taken away, which he called a thrive, which helps me. That's when like, I'll give you this if you just stop doing that. And then I'm going to take away that if you don't. Yeah. So that's kind of the phase that I've entered recently. Yeah. Is using bribes and then thrives.
Survival though. It's just survival. Yeah. People, there's that expression like all the people who have never been in a marriage or had kids are the best partners and parents. They just have like, they're like, oh, like screen time. I would never do that. I'm like, oh, you sweet, innocent child, you sweet flower. That's so adorable. I have so many adults who send me these like reels on Instagram about screen time, and they'll send me like 50 of them. I'm like, maybe you should take your own advice about screen time.
Like, I know,
you
right?
sent me 50 memes about how disruptive it is to toddlers. What is it doing to your brain? Clearly.
Oh yeah, and my daughter watches God knows what because also some people work and like what else do you do? Or she'd be like if when she's in the house when I'm on Zoom, which she often is, like I have to give her something, otherwise she'll just be screaming and hurling her body into me. It's like it's not that easy. It's nice you can't just like sniff a flower. No, I wouldn't be able to do this interview. I can't. Yeah, I can't give her like some Montessori rock toy. It's not gonna work.
No. I was at this recently I was like meeting a mom. Oh God, I identified with that too, the playground. I'm like, it's weird being a comedian and a mom and trying to straddle those worlds because I don't belong like in Austin where I am now. I think there's one other comedian, maybe two, Christina and Jen Fulweiler are the only two comedians I know who have children in the whole Austin comedy scene. And
yeah, it's very helpful for me to talk to other comic moms because they know the specifics of this weird life that we're trying to deal with toddlers, and it's insane.
And it's completely insane. And my husband always goes, "Oh, mommy's gonna go tell jokes and jokes and jokes and jokes." Like, and now she thinks that's what I do, is just jokes and jokes and jokes and jokes. Because
So
she doesn't
cute.
understand. She's like 2. She doesn't get it at all. And it is weird being on the playground. Like, I don't want to tell moms that. It's like you
I
said, they're
know.
like, I don't have a tendency to overshare anymore because I quit smoking weed. And that's really when it was bad. And my husband is a therapist, which I also recommend everybody marry a therapist. But I do have a tendency to like be so awkward it's uncomfortable. I don't even know what to say to them at all anymore.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's like I feel like I'm a lot because I'm so different from them. And, a lot of these moms are very like scheduled and routined, and our lives are insane. Like he's at the firehouse half the
Yeah.
week, and it's different every single week. And like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like right now, I'm trying to get this Evite thing for my daughter's birthday, which is in like 2 weeks, and I'm like sending it out now. People send it 4 months, and it's like some perfect invite. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh
I'm like,
my God, I relate
yeah,
so much.
yeah, I'm pulling nothing off at all. I don't know. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, when I arrived at LAX, I accidentally got on the wrong bus. You know, that bus to go to the Ubers. I
Yeah.
got on some bus, and I was like, oh, they're all wearing the same outfits, and this guy's like, this is a bus for like the people that work at LAX. And I was like, oh. And it was like 2 a.m, and then they just dropped me off. Like I don't know where it was. It was like near a food truck with like all the LAX workers, and my phone died. And I was just standing on the corner with my dumb suitcase. And somebody for like 40 minutes, I was just standing there, like just blinking, like being like, I don't know what I could possibly do about this. There's no cabs anywhere. There's no stores. I have way too much stuff with me. I have like bottles because I thought Frankie was still going to come with Pete. So I had like and then finally one of the LAX workers came up and like offered me a portable charger. And he was like, are you okay? And I'm like, you make like $4.25 an hour. And he was like extremely concerned about me. He was like, you're not well, are you? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Thank you.
I feel so similar. I had to just go to New York for a event thing, and I was packing, and my husband was like, "This is embarrassing. This is like watching." He's like, I was like, "What should I wear on the plane?" Because he's like your husband. He's so organized that I've outsourced like a large part of my brain to him. But I realized I'm like basically non-functional. It's like, if anything happened to you, I'm done. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I don't know where any like papers of the house. I don't know who bought it. Like I kept joking in the signing because he got it with Bitcoin. Like we were signing all these papers, and I just kept trying to give him a 5. I was like, does this help? Like, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I said it in my vows that one of the best things about him is that he like fills out forms. Like I cannot fill out forms. He does all forms related to us. Like like if something happens to my husband, like the house I'm gonna lose the house in like 3 minutes flat. They'll be like, this bitch is too dumb. We could take whatever they've got.
I feel like it's I was just talking to Carmen Lynch about this because she was on the podcast recently, and we were dying laughing at
Carmen.
I love her so much. Again, another soul sister like you. It's like my side of the bed looks like a teenager, and his is like a military officer lives with me. He's like, how do you live like that? He's like, it's endearing. I'm like, you think that now, but in like 10 years, I feel like it is not going to be so cute anymore.
I would do anything to have my husband call my habits endearing. He's always like flagging them, and he just thinks I'm a deep, infuriating pig. And like that, but it's the same thing. It's so funny you mentioned the bed. Like his side of the bed, it's like it's so organized. It looks like he's gonna make a suit out of my skin. It's like like his side of the bed is just really like some Navy guy. That's like the way he organizes his desk before he shoots himself or something. And my side of the bed is just like train wreck, just
train wreck.
Deep pig. Yeah, there's always like a loose vitamin. It's disgusting. Yeah, there's still like a USB cord and like all kinds of weird gnarled and a lot of debris everywhere. Yeah,
debris.
A lot of snacks too. There's a lot of snacks. He doesn't like all my snacking.
He saw my shame the other night. He's like, I see someone got into the goldfish. I was like, I tried to hide that in the bathroom. He's like, oh, I see all what ends up in all the garbages.
I know that he's always tracking me. By the way, that doesn't just happen with my husband. That happens everywhere. Like in LA, I never know where I'm at because I don't understand this. city at all. So like I'm always zooming in the wrong direction, and somebody's always like, I think you're supposed to be going there. I'm like, can nobody look? I know I'm doing the wrong thing. Can I just walk into this parking garage, please, for a second? Yeah. I'm like, you're home-ish, and you're like telling me that I'm not doing the right thing right now. This happens all the time. I don't know what I would do without him like organizing our life, because I don't do any of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's so organized. It's actually, we've started saying be more like Jaron, that's my husband's name, just as the mantra around my company, because he had all of this paperwork to fill out when he moved here to be licensed as he got this email, and I got anxiety looking at the number of steps he had to take and forms he had to fill out to get licensed in Texas. We were moving from California, and he had it done in like freaking 2 days. I was like, oh my God, I would still be thinking about doing that 3 months from now. I had somebody send me some kind of form that I have to not even, oh, this reminds me, I've got to sign these other form. I'm a disaster like this. And I wonder why I don't understand how guys like ours can even be remotely attracted to people like us.
I think he thinks I'm pretty disgusting, but I mean, he wants to get laid, but he also thinks that I'm a pig at the same time. But I left like a passport at my daughter's like preschool interview thing. They like called and they're like, yeah, you left your passport here. And is this, I think it was like some gum and Retin-A. And I'm like, yeah, that's all mine. Thanks. I'll be right over.
Why do you think we're such disasters? What is your operating theory?
I don't know. I talked about this on stage, but like I was always getting scanned as a kid. Like my mom was always trying to get to the bottom of me. So they're like, she was just like, scan her again. We'll keep scanning. I wouldn't eat for a certain amount of time before a scan. And she would let me stay up and like watch, I remember R-rated movies, like, because I was going to be scanned. I think you have to be like,
what kind of scans? Like you mentioned like EEG, but like what other scans? How many scans are there?
They thought I was fainting a lot as a kid, and then my parents thought my fainting was connected to my like school stupidity, which is what they called it in the 80s.
Starving from all of the scans.
You're right.
Sounds like it was the fasting from all of the scans you were doing.
There was so much scanning and so many conversations about me. My mom being like, she's not normal, Howard shit.
Are you the only child?
No, I have two brothers.
No, you have you mentioned
I was the problem. The whole family was like, if everything would be okay, if we could just figure out Rachel. And my hair was always wet, dripping down my back. And they called me wetback at school. And my mom thought they were using like racial slurs. And then my dad was like, I think it's because her back's wet. She's always got that puddle back. I had a puddle on my back. Yeah. Looking back, I'm like, I think that wasn't all entirely my fault that my back was always wet. I'm like, somebody could have woke me up earlier, because the wet back started at like 7. I was always wet on the back, like my entire back.
Somebody today who listens to my podcast regularly said for organize and was listening to Carmen and my interview, he's like, it is extremely stressful for organized people to listen to like the level of disorganization you guys exist
dark
in.
Terrain. Oh yeah, it's insanity. Like if you looked at my bag right now, you would just throw up. Like it's not good.
Yeah, that was me trying to pack.
I'm never disorganized the way like a woman is in movies, like just like colorful scarves and she's always like dropping things. No, it's like, it's not good. Like there's always liquid in the bottom of my bag and like some almonds, like it mixed up with like a long Goodwill receipt. The first time I spent the night at my husband's house, I left pantyhose for an audition that I had, and he came and he just brought this pile. It was just like a cord and pantyhose. And just the least appealing collection of things, and like a telenovela of a Goodwill receipt. And he just like handed it to me. He's like, I think this is yours. And I was just like, ah. And then we didn't have sex the first night I spent the night over. And I go, I'll wear better panties next time. And I was like, why did I just say that? Why did I say that? Like, it's not a sexy sentence. And he was like, okay, yeah, looking forward to it. And he just handed me that vile pile of things. And I was like, I'm never going to see this dude again. My friends called him Backdraft. I'm like, Backdraft is not going to call.
Isn't it funny all the nicknames we have for the dudes before they have names? Men have no idea.
What was your nickname for your husband?
He didn't really have one actually, because we met.
It was less ridiculous.
I wasn't drinking anymore, and he wasn't. It was like a different time in my life. He was we got together in when I was in recovery, and then we kind of broke up and then got back together like 15 months later, and then we were just together. So, but there were many. There was like the Dark Lord. It was one kind of famous one, and it's funny, like all your
Lord is great. The Dark Lord is great. I'm an Al-Anon family member, as I get it. Yeah,
okay,
but,
yeah.
But the Dark Lord is amazing nickname.
That was self-proclaimed, and now he tries to deny that he ever named himself that. I'm like, you gave yourself that nickname, and this guy would get mad. He was very wealthy, and he would get mad because the birds were chirping too loudly in the morning. Like, psycho shit. We get mad at me, just so controlling. That level of wealth, though, I think you really do.
They're not happy. I'll tell you that. No, they're not happy. No. They're it's not. Yeah, it's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. So my husband and I guess we probably just called him Trader Joe's until he and I were together, because he was at Trader Joe's. Well, he worked there. He was working there until, like I said, he's kind of late. We were both late bloomers, being that we spent most of our life doing drugs and drinking. And he was at Trader Joe's for like 15 years. And so then he got his master's and is now a therapist. And but yeah, when we met, he was still at Trader Joe's. And my first husband, my first husband was a busser, like a Belarusian busser. I also relate to you being like
from Belarus too. Wow.
Yeah, he was the first husband. I dated a lot of rich guys, but I only married the poor ones.
Me too. Yeah. I only marry the poor ones. I mainly just like, I like working class alcoholics. Mm-hmm. Talk about that special. That's my type. Yeah. But that's very funny. That's amazing.
Yeah, I just like that whole level of disorganization, and even today I was like, I went out my husband has gotten to the point where he's like, I fucking hate shopping. I hate it. I'm just not a normal girl. I've always hated it. Yeah. I've hated it since I was a child. It makes me upset to have to shop, but then I'm always mad because I have nothing to wear. Finally, and my husband is very much the consumer, because he likes reading all the reviews, and like you said, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get this for the yard, and I'm gonna get that, and I'm gonna I want to get. He's very organized, so he's always trying to like elevate the level of organization in our home with a new, thing to hang the rack on, and a new shelves for our garage or whatever. Or like whatever. So he's definitely like, I'm gonna start shopping for you, because I can't deal with you hating all your clothes and crying because you have nothing to wear, and also not doing anything about it. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna warn you though. You're gonna understand why I can't have nice things. And I went out the other night and I was really hungry after.
I'm so excited for
after a show, and I was like, I'm gonna go get ramen.
I'm all in with you.
And it was all over my shirt like a toddler. I looked like a toddler. I will send you the picture after we're done.
I've never related to anybody more.
It was so humiliating.
In our vows, like, he talked about how I had an enormous amount of mustard on my shirt for like 10 minutes on our first date. And he leaned in. I thought he was gonna kiss me, and I opened up my body language for a compliment. And he was like, "You've got a big kind of glop." And I was like, oh, I'm always getting cleaned. And by the way, I rely on that service. People clean me throughout the day, and I'm grateful. I wouldn't get through the day without somebody just picking things off me. There's always a sticker or something. Yeah. And it's helpful, that service, but I really relate to the spilling. I still haven't mastered a sip. Sips are more complicated than you think.
It was so humiliating. I sent him that. This was after today. I put this shirt on, and I'm like, I think a moth ate my shirt already. He's like, oh, how come the moths only eat your shirts, Bridget, and don't touch any of my clothes? So then he goes through my whole closet, and he's pulling things out, and he's like, you have too much shit in here, and you never wear any of it. You're like our toddler with her toys when we're trying to purge them. Oh, I'm like, no, I wear that. He's like, no, you don't. You wear the same 5 pairs of leggings and ugly t-shirts every day of your life. You don't wear, and you fill up every drawer and every closet space, and you don't wear any of this stuff. That's why you have moths or whatever.
Yes, exactly. Yep, I'm with you. I get it. I really, really understand. I
It's
really,
really
really,
embarrassing.
really do.
It
And by
makes
the way, firefighters love grocery shopping. So that's why I got excited when
yeah.
you said that. They all have to grocery shop at the firehouse, and Pete, like, that's the way I get him to do anything. I have a joke about it in the special because I begged him for Valentine's Day not to get me anything from Costco. I was like, please, for the love of God, don't get me anything.
And he did.
And he did. And he did. And that's happened 2 or 3 times. It's utterly fascinating where I'm like, here's what I don't want. And he's like, well, looked good. Looked good. Yeah, just he can only get me stuff from Costco. I'll beg him. That or his latest of $50 Amazon gift card. Like nothing says you're a blank slate in my mind. Like an Amazon gift card. Like that's what you give a super. That's like a mailman's gift. Give me an Amazon. And there was a moment where it was like 75, and then he was like, nah, 50 feels right.
It's a round number.
Feels correct.
50
But
feels right.
He also loves small talk. So when he goes to and on the road, it's great because he has all the small talk for me.
Right.
But he loves small talk. So whenever he goes to Trader Joe's, this is so sad, and I'm really apologize that I have to repeat this, but he says to whoever's checking him out, so you ever met Joe? Trader Joe? The real one? And I'm like, please don't do it. Don't. It sends me into like an archaic depression. It's so bad. And I'm like, no. And the girl just looks so fatigued by him. He's like, so you know the real Joe, huh? The head one? They're just like, no. They want to close him like a box, but he could give a shit. Like he will leave every interaction where he infuriates people. Like, that was fantastic. No? And I'm like, no, that wasn't good. People don't like that joke. It's very bad. He's like, nah, it's good. Solid.
It's also funny how it is true that, my husband won't let me go grocery shopping at all anymore. I take 3 times as long. I spend 3 times as much money because I get snagged by any kind of sample that's out there.
Shiny. Oh, I love a sample. Samples are so fun.
Yeah, but I feel guilty and feel like I have to buy it if I tried it. Like it's not their job, or I'll just the sample will actually work. Like I'm like, oh, I got a flank steak that we have to cook by in 2 days because I had to try this steak. And he'll be like, what are you doing when I go? I'm like, I'll just stop by and get the tomatoes. He's like, okay, no.
I love that. Any treat like that. It's very fun. I am into the samples. Any free sample like that. Like I'll slam it in my face. No questions asked.
My husband does all of the laundry. Like he won't because it's amazing. It's like I got very lucky, but it's also because he doesn't trust me to do anything remotely. He's like, how did you survive as long as you did?
Yeah,
out there in the world.
Yeah. It's because it's not easy. We're doing our best, but we're not. Yeah, our minds are not. They're not like that. They're different. They don't work in that way. Like, because he'll often say to me like, just put your keys in the same spot, or like, and I'm like, you're assuming that I know what I'm doing with my hands. Like my hands aren't connected to my body. They like take trips throughout the day. I don't know where they went. It's anyone's guess. Like they could have been in a whorehouse. I don't know. My hands are just doing things. I'm not like connected to them. I don't know they end up in my keys have been in the fridge before. It's just, your mind's just like wired differently. It's
fascinating.
But yeah, he kind of walks me through all my mistakes. He's like, I talk about this in the special too. But he's like, what happened over here? What's this shit? Like he always wants me to kind of like write up a report. It's like when he goes to the firehouse, it's like those kids in like an 80s movie. That's how I feel. Like, Dad, he's gone. I'm just hurling shit everywhere, and it's like very exciting. I'm just like dancing in my socks. There's like blow all over my face. It's great.
It is funny how like I loved in your special we were talking about it, how it's not normal for like they go on these like boys' nights, or half the week or whatever. It is just such a I don't even know how to explain it. My brother's so funny. He'll call me up like after Hillary won the first time. My brother calls me up. He's like, you out protesting with your pussy hat, Bridge?
He said protesting with your pussy hat. That's hysterical. My husband would definitely say that.
I'm like, no, our husbands would be best friends. I'm like, no, I wasn't. I'm like, oh, like you and your buddies wouldn't have been mad if like Trump hadn't won. And he's like, no, Bridge, because we have to fucking work. I was like, fair point. Okay. Touche.
Yeah. No, they like.
Some of us have to fucking make sure America keeps on going. You can't just get on our little knit hats and get out there in the streets and riot because we're mad.
That's exactly how Pete sees anything like that. Yeah, it infuriates him. Completely infuriates him. And he's always like reading some book about some like libertarian thing, like the democracy, the lie that never was, or something. I'm like, all right.
My brother gets silver. When you were talking about how it's real or it's only like super real or fake, I was like, oh my God, this is my brother. He's been investing in like
coins and crypto and all that stuff. He's an firefighter uncle that's always giving him like gold and silver, like just in case. And it's always like there's always some sort of weird. There's a lot of eagles everywhere. It's intense.
Do they all just pass around like zero hedge articles all day amongst one another?
Can you imagine the ignorance that grows in a firehouse? Like, it's not good. I'll tell you that. There's a lot of pamphlets and stuff. Don't clip this, please, because I'll get in trouble. But
no.
Yeah. Just that one moment. But yeah, can you imagine? No, he comes back, it's a mess. He's learning all kinds of stuff. I'm like, that's not true.
No,
it's not true. We went to the moon, Pete. We were there. It's not true. Vinny's wrong.
I heard my brother be like, I heard you're on Rogan from the guys again, Bridge. Did you say anything retarded? I'm like, probably. Probably.
And the weird thing is that Pete probably thinks that like feminists are like Nazis or something, but he's like an accidental feminist, like because he's not jealous. He doesn't care like what I do. Like I could be anywhere. Like he could be like, oh, spend the night at your, my friend Sam Merle is a comedian, another comic. You probably know.
Oh, I know Sam.
Like,
he's been on.
So I'm always like out with Sam and I'll be like, yeah, just stay out. You could crash there or something. I'm like, it's amazing. Like obviously all these male comics, like it's like sister brother relationship, but like it's interesting with my husband. He just could give a shit. Yeah. Like he doesn't, not even an ounce of jealousy in him. It's never occurred to him. And in that weird way, it gives me with this independence that I need to have this life. Like I've never had that. I've never had a guy, follow me through a room or like have his hand on my lower back. No, he's always like, you go to get there. Like he treats me like a man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. My husband doesn't. It's funny. I noticed like when I was gone, he doesn't have any kind of jealousy or worry or anything like that about other men. He seems to, which probably says more about me. He's more worried that I'm just going to decide to abandon my family and go chase my dreams in New York. He was like, I had this thought like one moment, it was just fleeting, intrusive thought that's just basically like, she just is gonna never come home. She's just gonna that's I'm like, that's the level of irresponsible woman you actually think I am, that I would like abandon my daughter and husband.
It's good though. It's good because he thinks that you're mysterious. And I feel like it's good if men think that you could be taken away from them or that something shiny could help make you veer off. I think that's good. It's gonna make him, he's very in love. It's good. I like it.
So
I think that they need to think that it's anyone's guess if you're going to go,
go rogue
be in the pictures, go be in the pictures or something.
He's like, it's your gypsy roots.
No, I'll try to make my husband jealous. I'll be like, I try. I'll tell him stories and I'm like, oh, maybe that'll give him something. Could give a fuck. Like, it seemed like they were kind of looking at me and he'd be like, no kidding. No way. Yeah, no, he wouldn't care. Anybody could pass me around. I shouldn't say that either. I really should watch my mouth. No, I know he wouldn't want me to be passed around. I will say that for him. He would not want my body to be passed around to strangers. So that must mean he cares.
It is wild having emotionally somewhat stable husbands or like confident. It's funny too because like in the weird like culture wars, guys like my husband, and I was kind of just writing about this for Father's Day, like they'd be kind of considered like cucks because they're with this woman who's like, been around the block, I guess, for lack of a better word, speaking for myself. And he knows how to I'll never forget the look on his stepmother, basically, the look on her face when she asked me how to put more time on the dryer. And I was like, the shame I still feel about that.
I mean, fuck it. Fuck her. Whatever. Come on. You're the truth. And also your bookcase is very impressive. I've been looking at it. It looks really good. And that everything
Guess who
behind
did
you
that?
is very together. Yeah.
Yeah, because my husband uses this room for his clients.
That makes sense. It's like, it does look like a therapist's office. I feel like healthier, but like looking at that, I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe I can understand that my mom did the best she could with what she had. Yeah. But it's very calming, like the dish and everything. I'm like, oh, this is a good world. This is a good world. And by the way, Pete is not emotional. He's emotionally, he's a desert. Let's not give him the credit for that your husband has. But he's confident. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that you have to be to run into a burning building or stupid.
That's the thing.
Confident and stupid.
It's a very tricky thing. The tools that make you a great firefighter are not the ones that make you like able to soothe or like an emotionally present husband.
Yeah.
But you know, we work it out and then I get a great hour, you know, from that. Like
it was a great hour. I mean,
the material itself. I don't mean that like I did a great job because I still watch myself and I'm like, he just gives me a lot of good material. But like I watch myself still and I'm just like, shh, like I'm just like enough. It's hard to watch yourself. You know, you always
God, yeah, I know.
You always see what you did wrong or what, you know, like, but he gives me a lot of good jokes.
I'm telling you, my husband has to listen to a lot of comedy that he may or may not want to listen to because I love interviewing comedians and like watching all the people's stuff and supporting comedians. And he was legitimately like, she's hilarious, laughing out loud, and loved it. And he's probably my harshest critic. Like
that means a lot. I really do feel like I worked like on every little line of it. And I tried so hard to get it right. And then you just got to let it go and just be like, I hope people can relate to this. And so that means a lot.
Yeah. Even like I come from the Irish Catholic world and I have a whole like bit about how when I got sober, I got like a reverse intervention basically from my family. But the Irish Catholic stuff is so real and the Ginas everywhere. I mean, like it's the same in Rhode Island. This is the world I came from. My brother's wife is a nurse. So like they have this kind of perfect like blue collar.
Oh my God, she's like the hottest women. I'm always looking at the women he should have married. Just some perfectly greased lady with like great cans named Gina, just like some nurse, you know, that runs a tighter ship than I do. It's just like, yeah, they're it's a very interesting world. And they pronounce it Foida, where we live. Fiyafida. It sounds like a little kid trying to say what his daddy does. My daddy's a Foida.
A Foida. Yeah, it's so good. You should be really proud. You should. I hope. I don't know. What do you want to plug here? I'm going to ask you the same two questions I ask at the end of everything, but I want you to plug whatever you want to plug to right now.
Okay, perfect. I will plug if you can follow me on Instagram, Rachel Feinstein _. Go to my website to see me on the road, rachel-feinstein.com, or I have a page on Punch Up Live. That's all linked on my Instagram too, or and my Facebook. And I'll be on the Tonight Show on May 16th, and the special airs on May 21st. So watch it, please. Thank you. I hope people like it. Thank you for having me here.
What's your biggest defect of character?
God, let me think. Boundaries. Very few. Yeah. No. Like I feel like, yeah, like I'll tell anybody anything. I'll be at line at like a CVS and just start revealing things. Yeah. I definitely, that's true with making mom friends too, because, you know, like people kind of run a tighter ship like we were talking about. So I'm learning them though. Like I'm trying to work on that. Yeah. I've always been very attracted before my husband to the craziest people imaginable. So I'm like learning to not just like, to think I can understand that I can't save everybody. I dated one guy. He was like such a throbbing alcoholic. And I used to just call AA every day. And I'd be like, you don't understand. He's drunk again. Like I had no idea. I was like, no, you don't get it. He's not, it wasn't just the whiskey. It's more. And they were like, yeah, he has to come himself. I didn't even understand the idea of that. I would just call AA hotlines every day. I'm like, he's drunk again. You got to help me out here. You got to pick me up. We're in Jersey and it's bad. He's glaring at some lady at a bar and she's a divorcee and he's trying to start, beef with her and she's 60. He's very drunk. And they're just like, yeah, it's got to be him. It's got to be him, man. But I'm trying to learn to like run a tighter ship. Having a kid helps you do that. Just like kind of put up a few healthier boundaries, like and it's
hard.
one day at a time. Absolutely.
My daughter the other day was like, "Oh God." I'm like, we're like in this, there's a lot of Christian people around us. I'm like, you can't be taking the Lord's name in vain around all of these nice, lovely Christian families that are at the playground. She's already like, "Oh
He's always
God."
glaring at me like I'm going to say twat in church. And I'm like, I'm doing my best, for Christ's sake. He always looks at me like I'm about to say twat with his uniform on, like I'm in trouble. He's always in his class A. He's like, do not say twat. All right, for 5 minutes, give it a fucking break with your mouth. And I'm like, you just cursed too, you pig. I'm trying here.
And what's your biggest asset?
I could take a joke. I could give it and I could take it. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what makes comics. That's why I like hanging out with comedians. And honestly, firefighters too. Yeah. I can laugh at my own nonsense. And I know that I'm ridiculous. And nothing makes me laugh more than when like other comics trash me and like just point out the loopholes in my own bullshit. Yeah. So I do like I can have a good laugh. I can definitely mock myself.
I know you're so busy today, and I will let you get back to your tour, your promotional tour.
Thank you. I'm going to hurl my body across town now.
I'm excited to meet you in person.
This was so fun. I'm probably going to be in Austin sometime soon, so I hope I see
let me know.
There. Yeah.
I'll I want to get your number, and then I can.
Yes.
You can just let me know.
I'll have Pam give it to you, and that'd be great. I hope I get to meet you in person soon.
Yeah,
too.
you will definitely. Bring the kid, and they can have a play date.
Oh, that would be so cute. I would love it.
Yeah. Okay. Have a good night.
Much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. This has been Walk-Ins Welcome with Bridget Phetasy. I'm Bridget Phetasy, and you're welcome. It's the dumbest line.